Good everyone, Q here. So I'm going to take you on a journey today. I stepped out of my comfort zone and traded stocks I'm not familiar with, grinders. So a grinding stock is something that moves pretty slowly and sort of grinds its way up and up and up until it starts going down. But big orders placed on the bid and the ask, and really difficult to read the price action if you're not used to trading those sorts of stocks. So the stocks I usually trade are stocks that have low floats and move pretty quickly, and I'm in and out of my trades pretty quickly as well. So I don't want to be holding trades for a long period of time. And with these grinding stocks, I feel that you have to get used to holding your position for a period of time, a long period of time, and I just couldn't get dialed in on the stock. But I tried to adapt as best I could, and even though I started the trading session in the red on stock BON, I ended up at the end of the session or end of the day pushing back into the green and ending the day with not a bad green day for me. So I trade a small account. I only trade a small amount of shares as well. So I'm trying to pull about anywhere between $20 and $50 out of the market each day. And if I can do that, that's sort of building my confidence and getting me to a point where I can feel comfortable in increasing my share size or increasing the amount of trades I take. Although I don't really have a cap on the amount of trades I take, I just try and not over trade and get emotionally triggered about stuff. So if I get into that state, then I stop trading. Well, I'm into stop trading, and then leave it for the next day when I've calmed down and thinking clear-headed. So let's have a look at those first trades today. So BOM was the first one I traded. I'll bring up my sheet here. And the first two trades I stopped out. So not big losses, but for a small account, and for my sort of daily goal was at $50. My daily max loss is around $50 as well. So when I hit that mark, I really have to think about whether I'm going to keep trading or not. And depending on the market conditions, that might be, no, I should stop now. And last night I did think about that. I was down, what was I down, $46? And I thought about, no, I think it might be best if I, leave it for today. But it was still early in the session. I'd only been trading I'd been sitting down at my computer for about half an hour, and I was in the red after, about 7:15 market time. So I still had plenty of time to get back into the green and recover, but it was just seeing if there was anything the market would give me. And when I sat down, there was only a couple stocks that were really doing anything. I sat down to BON, and it had a massive spike in pre-market before I sat down. It went from $1.40 to $2.50 and then all the way up to $11. It had pulled all the way back though, and it was below the VWAP and was trading, coming off of the $2. It was coming down from about $2.13. So I actually looked at another stock before this. I looked at RGC. So RGC, this stock here is continuation from yesterday, and yesterday it made a big move up to $16.56 up here, and had pulled back. And that was in the after hours actually. Yeah, so during the open market it was around about $12.32, pushed up and closed. Where's it closed? 1409 and then pushed up to 1655 in the aftermarket. Pulled back and then into pre-market it started pulling up and it had made a bit of a move around 6 o'clock up to 1480, 1490. So when I sat down it was around 6:45. So it had just made this move up here when I sat down here. And then it had pulled back and I sort of looked at it and I thought, no, the stock's too risky for me. It's a high risk stock for me. It's a wider spread, it's continuation, and I thought it had a little bit lighter volume as well. So didn't think that was a good idea for me to trade that. I'd probably get stuck in it or get in at a high price and then you know, it just drops. Because as soon as you buy into a stock that's, you know, got a 20-30 cent spread, you automatically straight away you're in a red trade. So I didn't think that was a good idea to get into that. So I looked at Bon, and this stock here, where was this? Here we are. So let's bring this up. Where are we? So I saw it around, it had made this move here, came up to about $2 and then came up here, broke the $2 mark and it was starting to pull back. I bought in here at that pullback, thinking it was going to push back up into the VWAP. Around 7 o'clock, just after 7 o'clock, I thought volume was coming in and that it would pull away. It didn't. It rejected and, well, it didn't really reject, it just kept pulling down. So it kept going down. I stopped out in here and then it pulled back down. I didn't buy here at the dip. So it pushed back up and that green candle looked like it was pretty strong. And, you know, I thought, right, I'll buy back in. So I bought back in on that pull back here, just thinking that it would push higher again. It didn't, and it dropped back down, and I stopped out again. So those were my two losses at the start, and they what put me down $46 in the red for the day. And I don't think did I trade soon after that? Yeah, now where did I get in on that one? So my next trade on BON was a green trade. So I actually made half of that loss back. We have a look in here. Where are we? There we go. Okay, so the first entry was in here, came down, got stopped out there, bought in again, didn't go, stopped out again down here, and then I bought back in on the break of this first green candle here. So bought in here and held through that pullback. It pushed up higher here, and then I eventually got out here at around $1.93, $1.92, $1.92 I think it was, after it hit resistance here. It had kind of broken here, but it got pushed back down. Bit of selling came in and it just wasn't holding up. And I thought, no, I'm not going to give it another go. I won't let it retest again. I'm just going to get out and see what it does. Luckily I did, and it just pulled all the way back down, and I think it dropped even further. I'll come back to that chart, maybe it will show me. Yeah, so it pulled back down to $1.68. So that was my trades on Bon. So one winner, two losers on that one. And it did sort of pull away at the open, but by then I wasn't really interested in it again. So that was Bon. The next stock I traded was QBTS. QBTS came up on the scanner. Let's have a look here. Let's grab it in pre-market here. Yep. So I think I saw QBTS coming up when it broke up above 750. Just check. Never take my first trade on that. QBTS was 822. Yep. So 822 was about here. So I first saw it come up around 750. I saw that it was kind of a grinding stock, and I was like, no, the float on that's like over 70 million. Was it 70? I'll just check that actually, because I can't remember. Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure the float was pretty high. QBTS, yeah. So the float was, yeah, it was only over 70 million. So generally I like to trade stocks that are around, you know, less than 20 million float, or 10 million, less than that, it's even better. And they just, for me, I can read them a lot better because I've had more experience with those types of stocks. So QBTS was a bit of a grinder, had some big sell orders and on the ask, and I just couldn't read or get dialed in on the stock. So, and it wasn't moving far either. It did, but it, yeah, just took so long to move, you know, 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents. So unless you got in at the right spot and it really pulled away. But my first trade on it I took, it had broken above, what was that, 822. I'm just going to bring up this one, 822. So here, yeah. So it had come up here, broken above that 750 mark, come up to 768, pulled back and had broken up to a high of 778. So I bought the pullback on that high, looking for a leg higher. It didn't go, I stopped out straight away. So that was my first trade on QBTS. Well, I didn't stop out straight away, obviously. I stopped out down here when it looked like it was failing through this level. Probably should have stopped out earlier actually, because it didn't look like it was going to hold up at all. I got back in though once it sort of bounced back up, pulled back, bought the pullback at that support level again, pulled down a little bit, pulled back a little bit more, and then pushed up. And I took it as it had hit some resistance here, and there was some big sell orders on at 770. So it just wasn't breaking through that level once it had pulled back. Sort of broke through the first time and then it pulled back, and then it just couldn't break through 770. So I took it there, took it off the table and pulled back, curled, and I didn't get back in on the curl. Should have really, because I usually like to buy sort of off the VWAP. And then it curled up, broke that level and came up to the previous day's high. So it came up to 778 again and tested that level again. If I bring up the chart here. So that was, who was that? So 774, so this is 770, pulled back, curled, here it is here, 770. So this is where it sort of tested and retested, then pulled back, curled, came up to 778 and pulled back. I wasn't focused on this stock during that period. After this here, I actually traded GV. GV had popped up, and while I was in this trade here, it had made a move, which I missed. So have a look at GV. So yeah, it had made this massive move well, not massive, but the stock has been up like 3 times in the past 2 weeks. And it had fresh news and it had breaking news today as well. And it pushed up from around 560 up to 666 and then 730 and then up to a high of about 818. And I missed that entire move. So from here to here, I missed it. I think I switched over to it when it was in this candle here coming up to 818 and, well, no, it was on this pullback actually. I saw the pullback and didn't get in there. It pushed up to 818 and then I thought, I'll give it a crack. So I got in, I think on this candle here as it pulled back and it pushed up, failed, came back down, and I believe I stopped out. No, I held through that pullback, that's right. I held through that pullback, it came up and broke that level. I took my profit off the table as soon as it started coming back down, and I didn't trade it again. I left it, mainly because it was coming into the open and I wanted to see what it would do at the open. And this is what happened at the open. So it started pulling down, pulling back, dropping, and it just, yeah, totally rejected and dumped. So while I was watching that, QBTS, on the other hand, had done this move. It had gone from the 776, done a slight pullback, and then pushed all the way up to $9. On that first move, it pushed to about, what was that, $8.62. So almost $1 a share, well, pretty much $1 a share in that first sort of leg up. And it did it again, and I got in on my first trade on QBTS after the open here at around 8:45, and I struggled. If you can see that, actually, sorry, I've got all my marks on there still, I'll clear those off. If you can see that it's stacked on the ask. So I'm not used to seeing figures like that on my level 2. And I could not get dialed in whether that was light or heavy, or if it was going to break that level. So that was what I had to adapt to today, trying to trade something that I'm not that experienced with. I don't trade a lot of these grinding stocks. I feel that it's probably, also I was trading it after the main move had happened, so maybe I would have been more comfortable trading it if it was, say, earlier on at the open. I try not to trade the first few minutes or the first 5 minutes of the open if possible. The volatility at that time is a high risk for me, and if I'm trading that, then I'm pretty confident of what I think the stock's going to do, and I'm waiting for an indicator that it's going to go before I generally get into the trade. From time to time, I have held a position into the open, but I'm already in a pretty strong position when I'm doing that. But this one here, I missed that first move up. I thought it still looks pretty strong, so I bought in, but I just couldn't read it. And probably from that buy-in, I should have held much longer. It still kept going, and there might not have been an indicator to get out. The doji here was kind of an indicator for me that it possibly could reverse, but I was already out by that stage. So maybe I would have got in out anyway, but maybe I would have sold up here if I was still in that trade. But anyway, it pushed higher without me. I didn't get back in. I probably could have got back in here on this pullback, but just wasn't sure. I did end up getting in on when it did pull back and gave me a red candle. And this is where I got in and accidentally, I accidentally hit my sell half key and it sold half my position. So yeah, so I accidentally hit my key, that hot key that sells half my position. And then I got back in straight away, thinking that I'd filled a full position again. So usually I take 200 shares as my full position, as my starter position. So I just one in, one out, entry and exit. But I hadn't bought another 200 shares. I bought 100. So basically I was in for the 200 shares anyway. But because I sort of got flustered doing that, and then it came up, hit some resistance, and I didn't hold it. And I should have held it. There's no real reason to get out here, but I hit the sell key and I says, no, I'm getting out. I don't know what's going on. And then it pulled back and pushed a little bit higher without me again. So struggling to hold my good trades long enough to get better risk reward ratio and more profit. And yeah, I just need to hold a bit longer. And especially on these grinding stocks, I feel that when you're, especially if you're buying in earlier, you can really hold them for a longer period of time. So that was that trade. Actually, what was, yeah. So those were those trades there. So at this stage, I'm still in the red. So you can see here, my first two trades put me into the red. My second trade brought me, basically halved my loss, drawdown, and then I stopped out again. So that was another one in the red. And then small wins, better win there. And then almost back in the green here, and then finally back into the green after this trade here. Now, if I look at this one, so I didn't trade for a while. I just sat on my hands and watched watched for a while the stock movement and just trying to get a read on it. And then I decided to jump in again around 10:20. Oh no, 10:45. I'll just have a look on my stat sheet here. Yeah, so those three trades here were the ones where I accidentally sold half my position. So this is where I entered, I sold half my position. Well, actually this is where I entered here at 887 and sold half my position, and then bought back in and sold the last part there. Anyway, my next trade on QBTS was my last trade of the morning. So this one here I'd sort of sat and watched and tried to get dialed in on it. And I bought a micro pullback here as it was pushing up. I thought I would get in around the $0.50 and see if I was meant to hold it longer, and I didn't. I saw what was on the level 2, and I was like, nope, I think it's gone far enough, and got out straight away. So not a great read, but you know, it was enough to put me back in the green. And I was up about $20.93 before, after fees. So, yeah. And then I was pretty tired by this stage, so I actually went back to bed. And when I woke up, I saw that QBTS was still up, and it was around the same level as it was when I went to bed. So I was pushing up to $10. Let's have a show here. Where's that? Yep. So I bought in here as it pushed up. I should have really bought in here at this level when it broke here above this green candle there, but I missed that entry. Came down, it pulled back. I bought here aggressively, looking for the pushback through the high day, which is this line here at 992. And this was coming into power hour at the end of the day. So if I have a look at, what time was this? Yeah, so just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, market time. It pulled back, I held it, and then I bought in again here on the curl back up. And it did curl back up, and I had a preset order set in here at 982. I probably should have just given it some leeway and put an order in around the break, or even just before the break. I did expect it to come up and test this high, and being power hour, is probably a good likelihood that it would break 992. And the reason why I had a sell order in there is actually because my son had got up and he wanted his breakfast, so I had to go and do that. But so yeah, so I just put a sell order in there at the pivot point and said, oh, that'll be okay. So not a great idea to do that, but it did work, and I ended up a profitable day, $79.10 in gross profit. And if I come up here, around $49, $50 net profit after fees and commissions. So not bad, but pretty break even on the week, really. I'm about $8, maybe $9 in the green over the week, but you know, pretty break even, and sort of a week where I had 2 red days and pretty much a break even day on Thursday, and then, you know, not a bad day last night, but just difficult trading a stock that you're not used to trading, and it can be hard to adapt to. And in a cold market, like, it's not, yeah, a little bit cooler market than what it has been since the start of the year, January, February, then it's been a little bit hard to adapt to that as well. But that was my day. I had 69% accuracy, 0.76 risk reward ratio. Actually, I'll just put it back to gross because I usually use the gross profit. 69% accuracy, 0.76 risk reward ratio, and yeah, that's the right date. And $69.10 in gross profit. So my risk reward ratio is coming up. It's a bit better than it has been before, which is good. And if I can work on that, then you know, I'll have bigger profits, which will be good. So at the moment for March, my accuracy is around 68% accuracy here. My risk reward ratio is about 0.52 for March, and my win rate that I need to be profitable over is 65.62% accuracy. So with this current risk reward ratio, I need to be at least 65% to be break even, and over that to be profitable. At the moment, I'm just over that. So yeah, need to work on that. Yeah, so far in the month I've taken 91 trades in total and traded 16,900 shares. Yeah. So if I have a quick look at my P&L curve, which is for the month, this one here. So at least it's had some dips. There's a pretty big dip there. But at least it's now gone back into the right direction and is heading up and has broken over last week's high. So added a little bit of profit this week, but by no means enough. Need to work on getting that right. So I think, is there anything else? Yeah, so my total P&L for the month is 154.35 net. Gross is 271.45. So my fees and commissions are around $117.10 for the month so far. So if I can get a few more free trades and also take better trades and not so many, I'll have less fees to pay and have more profit. So yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, so that's that was my day in a nutshell, really. Difficult trading the grinding stock, but did well to go from red in the morning to pull it back and recover over the trading session, and then end in a green day. I did take a trade also outside of my usual trading time, but because it's a Saturday morning here in New Zealand, I didn't need to really get up and do anything until my son got up, demanding his breakfast, but that's all good. He's allowed to do that. So at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy with how I adapted to QBTS, the stock. I did spend a lot of time trying to watch it and experience it before I really got into took too many trades on it, and I only really took a couple where I thought I had a bit better understanding of it, but still didn't really crack it, but it did pull me out of the red and gave me a green day. It also gave me a green week, so only just green though, but you know, green's green. It's still a success. So, you know, it's the value that it gives you is the experience that I've gained from doing that today. You know, it's a tough market for me today, and it's been a tough week for me this week. So that experience goes towards, you know, my future and, you know, help refine my skills in trading. So I do appreciate these sorts of challenges, but really you should test that in a safe environment when you're testing a new strategy. A simulator, paper trading and that sort of thing is a better way to do that rather than trying to trade it live. If you've struggled with this kind of trade, leave a comment below and let me know how you've handled, you know, these situations where you've had to trade outside your comfort zone. Like and subscribe if you're interested in more of my trading insights. I'll see you next week.